Hello, welcome to Anshika IS Academy. This is Tamil Nadu Board, Ancient Tamil Nadu Board Histories, Chapter number 5, Lord William Bentinck, 1828 से 1835. Learning objectives of this chapter is first, Bentinck's basic attitude towards reforms, his policy towards the Indian states, his cordial relations with Ranjit Singh, his the Charter Act of 1833 and its importance, Bentinck's financial and administrative reforms, his social reforms, abolition of sati, separation of thugs and prevention of female infanticide, his educational reforms. Lord William Bentinck assumed the office of the Governor General in 1828. Born in 1774, he commenced his career as a soldier and later, at the young age of 22, he became a member of Parliament. He was appointed the Governor of Madras in 1813. He supported Sir Thomas Munro on revenue administration. The Vellore Mutiny of 1806 had resulted in Bentinck's recall. However, his appointment again to the higher office as Governor General show his real greatness as Governor General. Bentinck had initiated an era of progress and reforms. He was undoubtedly the first Governor General of British India who acted on the dictum that the welfare of the subject peoples was a main, perhaps a primary duty of the British in India. Policy towards Indian states. William Bentinck adopted a policy of non-intervention and non-aggression with the Indian states. If at all the interfered in the affairs of the Indian states, it was only to end of any from the misgovernment and never to annex any territory. Mysore. In Mysore, Hindu rule under Krishna Raj III was restored by Wellesley. In the beginning, the young Raja functioned well along with his able minister Purnia. Later, when the young Raja assumed full control of the government, he proved incompetent. The peasantry of the state suffered from many grievances. There was no redressal. Consequently, a revolt of the peasants broke out in 1830 and it was suppressed with the help of an army from Madras. Nonetheless, the British authorities took over the administration of Mysore state and placed it under the control of the commissioner. The Raja was given a pension. Sir Mark Cubbon was commissioner from 1834 से 1861 and his administration was beneficial to the people of Mysore. Even today, the famous Cubbon Park in Bangalore city has been named after him to remind his services to Mysore, Chachar and Jaintia. The Principality of Chachar, lying in the northeast frontier, came under the protection of the British in accordance with the Treaty of Yarnboo conducted at the end of the First Burmese War. The Raja of this small state was assassinated in 1832, but there was no heir to succeed him. Bentinck annexed this state at wish of the people. Jaintia was one of the territories brought under the custody of the British after the First Anglo-Burmese War. The ruler of a small country behaved in an unruly way by abducting a few subjects of British India with the evil intention of sacrificing them to the goddess Kali. Therefore, the Governor General acted promptly to avoid any recurrence of such cruel, abhorrent act and annexed this country. Kurg. Ve Raja was a ruthless ruler of Kurg who treated his people with savage barbarity and killed all his male relatives. Lord William Bentinck decided to deal with him effectively and sent Colonel Lindsay to capture Markara, the capital of the Kurgi state. The Raja was deposed in 1834 and the state was annexed. Relations with Ranjit Singh. Lord William Bentinck was the first Governor General to visualize a Russian threat to India. Hence, he was eager to negotiate friendly relations both with the ruler of Punjab, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and also with the emirs of Sindh. His earnest desire was that Afghanistan should be made a buffer state between India and any possible invader. As an initial measure, an exchange of gifts took place between Lahore, the capital of Punjab, and Calcutta, the seat of Governor General. It was then followed by the meeting of Bentinck and Ranjit Singh on 25 October 1831 at Ropar on the bank of the river Satluj. Amidst show and splendor, the Governor General was successful in winning The friendship of Ranjit Singh and the Indus Navigation Treaty was concluded between them. This treaty opened up the Satluj for navigation. In addition, a commercial treaty was negotiated with Ranjit Singh. A similar treaty was also concluded with the Emirs of Sindh. Charter Act of 1833. The Regulating Act of 1773 made it compulsory to renew the company's charter after 20 years. Hence, the Charter Act of 1793 was passed by the Parliament. It extended the life of company. For another 20 years, and introduced minor changes in the existing setup. The Charter Act of 1813 provided 1 lakh of rupees annually for the promotion of Indian education. It also extended the company's charter for another 20 years. The Charter Act of 1833 was a significant constitutional instrument defining the scope and authority of the East India Company. The liberal and utilitarian philosophy of Bentham was made popular by the provisions of this act. Following were the important provisions. The English East India Company ceased to be a commercial agency in India. In other words, it would function hereafter as the political agent for the Crown. The Governor General of Fort William was hereafter called the Governor General of India. Thus, Bentinck was the first Governor General of India. A law member was appointed to Governor General's Council. T.B. Macaulay was the first law member of the Governor General in Council. The Act categorically stated that no native of India nor any natural born subject of His Majesty should be disabled from holding any place, office or employment by reason of his religion, place of birth, descendant or color. It was this enactment which laid the foundation for the Indianization of public services. After 20 years, the Charter Act of 1853 was passed, and it was the last in the series of Charter Acts. Reforms of Lord William Bentinck. The advent of Lord William Bentinck ushered in a new era in the annals of India in many ways. Although his tenure of office covered only a short span of 7 years, it's a period of enduring reforms. They may be classified as financial, administrative, social, and educational. Financial reforms. When Bentinck assumed the Governor Generalship in 1828, the financial position of the company was poor. The exchequer was very weak. The state budget showed a deficit of 1 million rupees. It became necessary on the part of the Governor General to take effective steps to improve the financial condition. To achieve this, he adopted the following measures. He reduced the salaries and allowances of all officers, and additional staffs were removed. In the military department, he abolished the system of double batta. Batta was the allowances to troops on active service. By these financial reforms, at the time of his departure, he left the treasury with a surplus of Rs 1.5 millions. Administrative reforms. Bentinck's administrative reforms speak of his political maturity and wisdom. In the judicial department, he abolished the provincial courts and appeal established by Cornwallis. They were largely responsible for the huge arrears of cases. This step was readily accepted by the directors since it cut down their expenditure. Another good measures to Bentinck was the introduction of local languages in the lower courts and English in the higher courts in the place of Persian. Even in matters of revenue, Bentinck left his mark. He launched the revenue settlements of Northwest Province under the control of Arambird. This settlement was for a period of 30 years, and it was made either with the tillers of the soil or with the landowners. Social reforms. The social reform of William Bentinck made his name immortal in the history of British India. These include the abolition of sati and suppression of drugs and prevention of female infanticide. Abolition of sati, the practice of sati, the age-old custom and burning of widows alive on the funeral prayer, and their husbands were prevalent in India from ancient times. This inhuman social custom was very common in northern India, more particularly in Bengal. Bentinck was greatly distressed when he received a report of 800 cases of sati in a single year, and that from Bengal. He determined to abolish this practice, which he considered an offense against natural justice. Therefore, he became a crusader against it and promulgated his regulation 17 on 4 December 1829, prohibiting the practice of sati. Those who practiced sati were made liable for punishment by law courts as accessories Accessories to the crime, the regulation was extended to the Madras and Bombay presidencies in 1830. The regulation was extended to the Madras and Bombay presidencies in 1830. Suppression of thugs, the most commendable measures which Bentinck undertook and which contributed to the material welfare of the people was the suppression of the thugs. They were hereditary robbers. They went about in small groups of 50 or 200, posing as commercial gangs or pilgrims, strangling and robbing peaceful travelers. They increased in number in central and northern India during the 18th century when anarchy resigned after the disintegration of the Mughal Empire. A campaign was systematically organized by colonial Sleeman from 1830 against the thugs. During the course of 5 years, nearly 2,000 of them were captured. A greater number of them were exterminated and the rest were transported to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. For his role in the suppression of thugs, Sir William Sleeman was known as Thugs Sleeman. Female infanticide. Female infanticide was one of the horrible and heartless deeds committed even by civilized people. With this practice, killing female infants was very much prevalent in places like Rajputana, Punjab, Malwa, and Kutch. Bentinck took effective steps to prevent the ritual of child sacrifice at Sogar Island in Bengal. He not only prohibited female infanticide but declared them as punishable crime. Introduction of English education. The introduction of English education was a significant event of Lord William Bentinck's administration. He appointed a committee headed by Lord Macaulay to make recommendations for the promotion of education. In his report, Macaulay emphasized the promotion of European literature and science through English medium to the people. Of India. This recommendation was wholeheartedly accepted by William Bentinck. The government resolution in 1835 made English an official and literary language of India. In the same year, William Bentinck laid foundation of the Calcutta Medical College. Estimate of William Bentinck. Bentinck was a straightforward, honest, upright, benevolent, sensible man. His social reforms such as abolition of sati and prevention of child sacrifice eradicated age-old evils from Hindu society. It is gratifying to note that Bentinck acted where others had talked. To enforce the regulation regarding the prohibition of sati, was prepared to risk his armed position. Such courage and straightforwardness were seldom found among the administrators of those days. His educational reforms heralded a new age in India. After William Bentinck, Lord Auckland 1836 became Governor General. The first Afghan War 1836 was fought during his administration. Due to his failure in Afghanistan, he was recalled in 1842. Lord Ellenborough succeeded him and ended the Afghan War. He also annexed the Sindh. His successor Lord Hardinge 1844 fought the first Anglo-Sikh War 1845 and concluded the Treaty of Lahore. Learning outcome of this chapter is William Bentinck, despite following the policy of non-intervention, compelled to annex the states like Mysore. He achieved friendship with Raja Ranjit Singh of Punjab and concluded the Treaty of Amritsar. The importance of the Charter Act of 1833. Bentinck's efficient administrative measures through financial and administrative reforms. Bentinck inaugurated an era of social reforms which included the abolition of sati, suppression of thugs and prevention of female infanticides. His educational reforms remained the basis for the modernization of India. Lessons. Thanks for watching.